All right, all right, all right. We're going to try this again. I hope I didn't lose everybody. If you can, send a few notes. Tell everybody to jump over here. Oh my goodness. I thought I was going to be able to stream on another site, but I have got to do some classes. I am having a total struggle streaming moment. So, for all of those who are hopefully not lost, we're going to try to jump on this side and do our work, or at least our chat. So, good day, good day, good day, everybody. I'm going to need you to please bear with me. This has become a total challenge, but I am going to try to keep it moving. So, let's sit down real quick. Let's say our good mornings. Let's get our coffee ready. And for those of you who are doing some sort of workout this week, let's get on top of that and see if you want to get out there this morning. I know I'm running a little late, so that means I'm going to wrap this up real quick and then go back to seeing if I can figure out what I was doing wrong. So get your coffee ready for those of you who are excited to do a little chat. Now, my announcement. Welcome to All for Success. This is a Sussex friendly space, and here we like to be friendly to all things Sussex. Of course, all around us, there are many people who are not, but we see the logic in being a supporter of these young people. Also, being a mother of adult children myself, I find it very encouraging to watch them work as hard as they do work to do the things they do. And I am here to support them in all their good endeavors. No one is perfect, but I do enjoy watching people who are striving to be better at whatever they do. So we're going to give it a couple of seconds and let's see if those who are maybe looking for me in another spot find me over here. So hang on one quick second. Okay. All right, so I'm hoping people can refresh and find where I am and what's happening over here. But anyway, we will record and we will drive on. That's just how it is sometimes. So let's see what we have that we would like to go over. Now, for those of you who didn't know, I took a moment, about 2 weeks or so, took a break, and I had the opportunity to take a short, so-called vacation. It was a great time to get out and about. We traveled a bit, and I had a chance to go to a wonderful wedding, and we had a blast. So I want all of you to know that we took a very, very long trip and went to enjoy a wedding. And I'm going to see if I have some photos of that I can show you. So let's see what I have here. Um, I'm going to go back through all of my wonderful slides here and show you where we were. All right. So if you have never heard of this place, believe it or not, it is an island where one of my relatives, one of my nieces, had her wedding. And the reason that I decided, oh, let me take some time off from doing the short chat is because this island is in the country of Japan. I'm sorry, the country of Vietnam. So that was a very, very long flight. I just have a couple of beautiful photos here because it was a little island wedding and it was really, really lovely. Now, of course, when you're talking to most people here and you say something like, well, we're going to go to Vietnam, that's not a very common trip to make. It's very long. We flew there via South Korea. So it was about, I'm going to say the total flight hours were maybe 15 hours. But once we got there, it was as lovely as you see here. We had some wonderful pics. We had a chance to get out and about. And it's the type of vacation or outing that you wouldn't think about on the surface as far as a vacation spot, but it was quite lovely. And I would encourage anyone who has the opportunity to go to get out there and take a look at it. This is kind of a view down here of the hotel that we stayed in. It was quite nice. Had a very nice swimming pool. But all of these hotels and these resorts are actually on the beach there in Vietnam. There's also a short picture here where we were riding up a cable car, and it's a big long ride between two islands. And so you get to jump out on another island, and it's also like a resort or an amusement park of sorts. But it was really fun. And I hope that any of you who are interested in traveling like that, that you get a chance to go there. You do need a visa, and the process for that is an online process. That's a little time consuming, takes a few minutes, but once they get the visa request, they're generally pretty quick about returning it. And then the flight over, of course, like I said, that's a long flight. What we found, which was pretty interesting, which was kind of an offside thing, is that the airport, if you stop over in Seoul, Korea, or Incheon, the airport there is so large and very accommodating. So they even have the means for you to rest up, shower up in between your flights. There is even a hotel actually built in the air, I mean, within the airport structure. So if you ever lay over in Seoul, Korea, you can spend a day if you like, and they actually have overnight accommodations. So you could actually leave the airport, go take a tour, and then come back to the airport to be there for your flight. It's quite interesting, some of the amenities that many of these places have, when you consider the type of trips that people take. You would be surprised sometimes at how, I don't want to say luxurious because it's not quite that, but how much of a utility they have in and around the airports, especially in Asia. So I think when they started to build many of their facilities, they were thinking basically of the services that they would need. And that is a very unique thing. Definitely not something you see in the States very often. Everything in the States, of course, has an additional super price tag, and they make everything exclusive. So, if you're going to have accommodations or a nicer lounge to relax in, well, that's if you're at the, Delta Supreme or Delta First Class, or if you are in some sort of exclusive category, then they are more thoughtful about what they can do to try to help you. It's really bizarre. All right, so here are some of the wonderful things, and I just thought I'd point that out. And hopefully, any of you who like to take vacations, especially to exotic islands, you might want to put that one on your list. Now, while I took a moment out, I turned on the news from time to time, and what did I see? I saw our wonderful Sussex family doing big things. Of course, this trip that was listed going to Nigeria, that was phenomenal. That was something. I'm going to tell you, it had the entire nation of the UK all in a twist. And boy, were they all discombobulated. Um, they were having all types of meltdowns while watching them overseas. They were not happy that our young family was actually doing something and doing something wonderful. No, they weren't. They were kind of irritated um, at what they saw happening. Now, I want you all to take a moment and try to think to yourself, why would they be so upset about that? Well, it's It's amazing because people who find themselves somewhat envious and jealous of others, it's amazing how they are angry that someone might be doing well. You know, it's amazing to watch them twist and turn when they think that other people are giving and showing a kindness to Harry and Meghan. Why? And the reason is because they want everyone to dislike Harry and Meghan. And so what they strive to do is to make Harry and Meghan the villain so that other people will not want to spend any time with them. They say things to them like, um, basically, they're like children on a playground. They don't want you to be friends with someone else. They want you to only be friends with them. And that is what is so sad about the way they behave. You would think that they would be beyond that, but they are not. They're, in fact, very much the same as any other 2 or 3 year old. And that is what is sad. Very, very sad. But what we're going to do is we're going to try to stick by and support our family. So what we're going to do is to continue to do that. So when they arrived in Nigeria, look at all the wonderful and colorful, beautiful outfits that Meghan wore. And they were talking about that a lot, of course. And what was the reason that they were there? Let's not forget that Harry actually was doing kind of a scout out to see if Nigeria might one day be able to host some element of the Invictus Games. And it's possible that they may be able to do that. I think it would be interesting if they were able to pull that off, because that would draw a lot of interest in their country and perhaps help them get on a better footing as they're struggling to try to be a very recognized community as far as, what I would call the international review of recognition. So I'm still looking, letting other people know, or typing in the other side to let people who are in the live on the other side to try to jump over here and join this one. So Nigeria would totally benefit from that opportunity. And it would be great for many people who are in there working and trying to uplift anything Nigerian. One of the wonderful aspects of this trip was the fact that Nigeria, being a very large a country in Africa, has recognized in adoration, for example, the work that Harry is doing. They have recognized also in adoration that Meghan is a very dutiful and a very loyal wife, and that she is in her role in a very loving way, which is counter to what the rest of the UK media would like for you to believe. What they would like for you to believe is that Meghan is some sort of vindictive monster, right? That she, in fact, is just set upon this goal to mislead people and to be very detrimental to Harry in all of his endeavors. Now, for those of us who are paying attention, we also know that this is not true. We are aware that Meghan, of all people, although she may not be the 1940s version of a wife and mother, she's actually inadvertently becoming very much that way because she is an extraordinary homemaker. She's very much interested in all of the typical arts of a wife and mother, right? The cooking, the cleaning. She loves the cooking shows, and she's done this all of her life. She seems to be very interested in fashion and all things that are beautifying. Well, I mean, when you think of a old-fashioned wife and mother, those charms are outstanding. But for whatever reason, the UK media has this habit of trying to make you believe that in fact is not her interest, and that in fact she is anti all of these things, and that she's somehow elbowing her way across the world and trying to shine a spotlight on herself. Well, as we watch the way that Harry and Meghan move, we're watching the way that they operate. There is seemingly nothing that could be further from the truth. They are very much a partnership. And at least it appears that they seem to interact with each other and support each other in a way that is uplifting and accelerating to each other. And that, believe it or not, is what a real wonderful marriage could look like. And of course, since they didn't embrace this, they've got to try and make the world believe that they're doing something wrong. And this is what's happening to them. But here's what's fascinating about this trip. This trip was wonderful. It looked good. So, of course, then the UK media tried to malign any and everyone around this particular endeavor. So they wanted to tell you how awful of a country Nigeria is. And I would hope that my Nigerian friends will help me out. You know, all of the Nigerian people that I have ever met have been wonderful folks, right? So the country, even though it may struggle economically or in any other way, it's no different than any other country and its struggles, right? It's just that it's an African country. And so we must be told that, oh my gosh, that their struggle is so much more vivid than anyone else. They struggle in the same ways that any other country. They have the same conflicts that we have right here in the grand old US of A. The only thing that might be um, an extraordinary difference is whether or not you might have open economic opportunities. And in that way, America does seem to do very well. You know, when you come here, you can sometimes enter in and weave yourself into methods of aspiration and goals that you might want to achieve. And you can do that here in the US, perhaps in a less limited fashion. However, Nigeria is also becoming an up and coming community. And of course, one of the things that they deal with probably more vividly, not that it's not happening everywhere else, but their level of what I call um, presenting things that may not be exactly real, or what we would call knockoffs or trade-offs, or presenting different businesses that may not be as accurate as they are purporting them to be, what we would call here a scam, right? So those type of things are what put Nigeria on the map from other countries' point of view. So we have to keep that in mind. But I want to say I give a shout out to all folks Nigerian, to everyone in Nigeria. Give you a total shout out um, that, you know, you just keep moving forward and you keep moving ahead, and things will clear up for you. They really will. So you just keep doing that. Keep trying your best. And I think that is where many of the people who are in leadership in Nigeria are trying to go. All right, so I'm going to take a second to pause here. I'm just going to let everyone know, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate those of you who tried to stick with me through this nightmare of a stream moment. I'm going to have to practice using the other tools and see if I can get this together, but I am working on it. So you guys just hang in there with me. I'm trying my best. So please like and share and subscribe. For those of you who've not been here before, please try to like, share, push that button to subscribe. Also, feel free to have other people join in who might be interested in this point of view. And of course, being a Sussex friendly channel from the point of view of parents with adult children, I like to talk about those things from that viewpoint. I often think how Miss Doria must be uh, getting along and how Miss Doria must be feeling as she too is experiencing much of their success, even though other people are trying to detract from them. But knowing that her child and her in-law, her little son-in-law, Harry, she knows that they are striving to do good things. She understands, I am certain, that they want to do great things in the world. And what's beautiful about Miss Doria is you get this vibe, although I don't know her, I get this vibe that that is exactly what she would have wanted for her daughter. It appears that she wanted her daughter to have the best, especially given whatever struggles that she may have endured. You know, as a parent, that is definitely our goal. So I want to say thank you guys for being here, and so like, share, and subscribe. So let's see who did make it over here to this side. I want to say hello. King for Concepts. Thank you for being here and thank you for coming. Thank you for maintaining yourself in this streaming struggle that I am on. I appreciate that you're hanging in there. Also, I would like to say thank you, LLAA. Thank you also for being here. And hello. Thank you for hanging in there with me on this struggle bus. I'm hoping that some other people will be able to join in. And if they were lost on the other side, I am so hoping that they will find us over here streaming. If not, maybe they can catch us in the replay. But we will try to get back on target. And boy, what a challenge it has been. I'm telling you, I thought I knew what I was doing, but no, indeed. So remember, Archwell, what are their thing for Harry and Meghan? All they have to do is simply be. And that alone is enough to set some people's teeth on edge. They don't have to really do anything extraordinary. All they have to do is just simply show up. And just be themselves. And just that alone is enough to strike a chord. So Archwell is their foundation. I love the fact, if you all were paying attention, they had this big news story trying to imply that there was something wrong with Archwell Foundation because they were delinquent in filing some sort of document. You know, what did the UK do? They seized on the word delinquent to try to make it appear that Archwell, the foundation, had failed in some way. And what was wonderful is it took the governor of California, I love it, the governor of California actually stood out behind a microphone and said, this is happening to many of the nonprofit foundations and organizations. It's simply paperwork. And so much of the paperwork is behind schedule. And it's often not to the fault of the people in the foundation. It's a shame that the governor had to come forward and make that statement. But what was wonderful is that he also added is that these foundations are doing good things, they're doing good work, and he was appreciative of Harry and Meghan and the work that they do. So there again, how did the UK family respond to that? Excuse me. They were unhappy that the governor came out and actually supported Harry and Meghan. And this is what's happening in the UK. They cannot understand why people are continuing to support Harry and Meghan. They don't get it. But what's wonderful is that less and less people are fearful of showing their support. You guys, you have to excuse me. I am coughing. What is going on? But anyway, I'm going to get better, hopefully. So while I was pulling photos from their trip to Nigeria, some of the ones that were outstanding to me, one, I absolutely loved the yellow dress. I thought that was so beautiful and it was so bright. I loved Meghan in that yellow dress. I hope you all felt the same. But one of the things that really caught my attention was the photo she took with the young ladies who are in the youth leadership organization. This is extraordinary work. The fact that she continues to reach out and speak to young people who want to be leaders in their communities, I think that is fantastic. These young leaders in Nigeria are doing some phenomenal work as young people. And it is amazing some of the influence that they do have. This is often overlooked by people who are trying to move ahead in their own careers. It's that opportunity to reach back and speak with younger people. And in this way, I think Meghan must be commended, Harry as well. They reach out to the youth and they do it in such a way that it's very interactive. I think it's fantastic. Um, the fact that they are in and around school age children and that they are communicating with them and continuing to communicate. It is amazing the amount of support and uplift that they are providing to these young people. And as you can see, even in some of the panels that they have, and they did have one in Nigeria. So I'm hoping that they're going to have a little bit of footage from that, some of the interaction and the things that were talked about, because they often, especially for Meghan, she focuses a lot on the things that women and girls can do to improve their lives. Not so much from a far away point of view, but often from the fact that they can interact wherever they are. There are little things that you can do in whatever space you are currently in. And I think that is fantastic. It's something that offers like a glimmer of hope to many of the young people who are struggling to find their place in the world. And I must say, Harry and Meghan seem to have a very, very good handle on maneuvering in that space. So we're going to watch more for some of the specific things that she continues to pursue and support when it comes to young women and girls. So that too was supported. And again, these are things that the UK tabloid media, they don't even talk about any of that, right? They don't even understand what Harry and Meghan are doing. They simply come out on the tabloid television and just speak ill about where they are, who they're with, who they're seen with, and how, of course, they feel it negatively impacts the king and the future king of the UK. It doesn't even occur to them to actually pay attention to the cause that Harry and Meghan are supporting, i.e., Harry is talking about Invictus. They're going there to look over the possibility of having a wonderful opportunity with Invictus. Did the UK even mention that? Not really, kind of in an offhand way, right? Well, all of that's great and all, and then, but, right? They don't get it. Instead of talking about the causes that Harry and Meghan are supporting, they're just caught up with whether or not whatever they're doing can be made to make them look bad. And I think which is what I think is brilliant, is that in that society of cruelty, which is really those grizzly old men, right? The grizzled old men who are only looking for opportunities to be cruel. They can't even see, and they're not even aware that the rest of the world thinks that they're crazy. They're not paying attention to it. These people have no clue what is happening. And this system that they're feeding right here, these tools of these liars, is the weapon of choice, which is their media platform or their newspaper platforms. And this is the type of stuff that they're putting out into the world, right? Everything that they can come up with to try to show them in a negative light. And it's amazing as they're doing this, and they're spending a lot of money to do this. And of course, they're making their money off of the backs of Harry and Meghan by doing this, right? Because if they can come up with salacious stories, salacious comments, salacious headlines, then people are looking at what they're saying and watching what they're saying. People are tuning into their shows, even though what they're spilling is trash. But that's how they make their money. They're not sincere, not in any way. They don't believe what they're saying, you know, but they're making this is how they make their money. They come on their news show and early in the morning or late at night, and for some reason, having a panel or having a discussion or having a show called Royal Watching or whatever it is, they can sit there and try to have a 10-minute conversation on why everyone should dislike Harry and Meghan. And I believe the world is finally catching on to it. What's interesting to me is how there are people who, if Harry and Meghan are mentioned, they have only absorbed the surface level media trashing of Harry and Meghan. There are those who they're not studying all of these aspects the way that people who consider themselves Sussex Squad pay attention to it. And so they just absorb the surface level and they make comments or they repeat what they have heard in the surface level, right? Oh, Meghan is a narcissist. I love the fact that that word narcissist is used so often. That's the new buzzword, narcissist, right? Call her a narcissist, which is truly meaningless, right? It really is. There is a diagnosis for certain types of behaviors, but when you just label someone a narcissist out of the blue, that's a meaningless term. But people know it to be bad, right? Selfish, greedy, which actually is not a diagnosis, right? That's just sometimes how people really are. But anyone who seems to care for themselves, right? Or if you put yourself first, right? Then somehow that's supposed to be a negative diagnosis. Really? If she found herself in a situation that was absolutely unbearable in her life, if she found herself surrounded by quasi family members who were doing everything in their power to create total mental disruption to you, and you decide, well, I've had enough of that and I'm getting out of there, how in the world could you then throw the label narcissist on that individual? But let's think about that. That's the type of double think that the UK would like to impose upon you. They would like for you to somehow misunderstand yourself and to double think saving your own self, right? But if you're casually talking to someone who may not follow these matters as closely as we do, they'll make that comment. They'll repeat what they've heard in the news. I had someone say to me not long ago, oh, offhandedly, well, Meghan should have known what she was getting into. Okay, now let's break down that statement. Meghan should have known what she was getting into. All right, now that you've made that statement, my question was, and therefore what? So if you find yourself in a situation that you did not expect, excuse me again, if you find yourself a party to a situation that you did not expect, or in a situation that you did not plan to be in, and it was becoming adversarial, right? For example, the woman who marries the man who's wonderful and then finds out 5 years later that instead he enjoys beating on her. So then I repeat, well, she should have known what she was getting into, right? Meghan should have known. And this statement was made by someone that I thought should have known better than to say that. But that's how casual the doublethink will creep into your mind, right? You should have known. What does that mean? You should have known. The point is, what you expected, right, was to be respected. What you expected was to be treated the way you treat other people. That's what you expected. So, yeah, everyone on the planet should have known that the devil is out there and trying to get you. Yeah, everybody. You should have known. Okay? So, when you got your purse ripped off your arm because a purse snatcher took it, or when someone stole your car, yeah, you should have known, right? So, it was just an interesting statement. And that is one of those things that has been trotted out as if this somehow means it's justifiable to have raked her over the coals in as dirty a fashion as the UK media and the royal family, royal firm, has done. That somehow being raked over the coals, treated like you have done something wrong, and then trying to place this person in a cage only to be taken out when you so please, that somehow because you should have known that that also equals it's justifiable. But that is what's happening sometimes in our world. People are saying things like that because they have a surface view of what is going on, not just with Harry and Meghan, but in our world in general. Another thing I saw, which I thought was interesting, another perspective that I thought was interesting. I had someone actually talk about how fatigued they are about hearing the things that Harry and Meghan are doing. Again, because you're not watching it the way we do, you're fatigued by people who are using them to make money. You are not fatigued by Harry and Meghan themselves. They're not out here all over the place in your face. They are only doing things that they are either commissioned to do, things that they are asked to do, right? They are simply doing what they do, which is opening their businesses, running their foundations. What you are fatigued by is what the UK trash media is doing, which is a blitz and smear campaign. That is causing your fatigue. You have to be aware. You are fatigued by their hatred. It is their hatred that is wearing you out, right? I try to help someone understand what Harry and Meghan might be going through when it came to being in the workplace. I had a coworker in my workspace who made a comment that he felt things were happening only to him. that were negative. So if something were, you know how a boss will come in and tell everybody to do something, but most people may or most people will ignore it or act like they didn't hear it. And this individual was a candidate for, he felt that he was being singled out in being told what to do, right? He felt that everyone else was avoided, but that the boss would always come directly to him and say, hey, do this thing. Okay, so here's what I tried to impart. The way that you feel at work, that feeling that you're being singled out, that you're being specifically directed to, it is that feeling that you have that is actually equivalent to the smear campaign being launched at Harry and Meghan. So when you say these things, for example, in your workspace, this is how you feel, or if your coworker says, oh, I'm feeling that this person is giving me a hard time. Well, I sort of make sure that they are aware. Well, this is exactly what Harry and Meghan are experiencing. So if we stomp about and say we don't care about how that plays out, then the return question is, why should I care about how you feel on the job? Right? Why should other people be concerned that you feel picked on at work? So it's exactly the same situation. And what I'm saying is that these are the types of tactics, maneuvers, and systems that are in place everywhere. This situation with Harry and Meghan are simply making it more clear. So, what we're doing as a team of people who support them in their endeavors is we're trying to also enlighten the world, so to speak. We're trying to point out to the entire greater masses that this tactic and this system is being spread out all over. And you're either sometimes party to it, right? If you are not deliberately focusing your attention against it. So you have to be very, very deliberate when you see that someone is being done wrong, right? You have to be very deliberate when you can tell a situation is unfair on one level, but also detrimental, right? When that group of ladies comes around you, or a group of men, depending on what type of circumstance you're in, but when those two or three people come around you and their intent is to make you angry with, upset with, or make you dislike another individual, you have to be very cautious, because that is what the UK media is doing. You have to be very cautious in your own life when someone is trying to squeeze you or manipulate you into a position of group dislike. So be careful with that. Even if you have negative feelings toward that person yourself for specific reasons, that's still no reason to join in on a group bashing of another person. So I just want to make sure that that is part of my talk my talk chat, is to keep that in mind, because sometimes, even though this is a news story, Harry and Meghan are a great news story, what you find is that this particular type of behavior, this insidiousness, it's creeping throughout our society. And so we have to be very mindful of it and try to keep our wits about us. So I also wanted to note that we also have to jump now really quickly. We've got All Things Wonderful, Harry and Meghan. But I know that the story out there, even though I was on vacation, nothing has changed with the Princess of Wales, right? So, just in a quick wrap up, before I get into that, I want to say again, let me take a pause real quick. I want to say again, hello to everyone. Uh, Also, encourage you to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that like button so that people know you're watching. I want to say, good morning, good morning. I think this is Mesa Tress. I hope I'm saying that correctly. She wants to say hello all. I can't chat, but I'm here listening while I'm cooking. Ooh, I hope you're making something delicious for Memorial Day. And if you could just send the smells and the wonderful taste all the way through the chat line. I would love to have so. So good morning, Misa Teresa or Misa Tress 8. I love it. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Good morning also to Joyce Anderson. Yes, thank you also for being here. She says, good morning. Good Saturday morning to you and everyone. I am happy that you are home. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. But I tell you what, I am sure that it is due to all the prayer filled um, well wishers out there. Thank you so much. I am glad to be back. I had a wonderful trip, and hopefully in the future I can tell you some more about it. It was an interesting travel, and I am, as always, as much as I loved that beautiful time on the beach, I have to say, thank God, and there is no place like home. Also, good morning, Hen Pal. Am I saying that right? I do hope so. You're saying, good point. You only judge others by your own perspective and experience. This is true. What the toxic UK media did to both of them, Harry and Meghan, is despicable. I am certain they are being built for greatness. Yes, I totally agree. You know that thing that people used to say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I have to be in total agreement with you, Hen Pal. You know, the type of endurance that they are showing. I mean, I hope I am here for the future. I hope I'm around to see the possibilities of the future that they might definitely show us. I am looking forward to it because I too believe that they are set for great things. Oh, again, Joyce Anderson. I truly enjoyed the Nigerian tour of Harry and Meghan. Yes, ma'am. Everything that I've seen, Joyce Anderson, would point to them having a beautiful and wonderful time. I'm sure there'll be some weird things that come out of it here and there, but I'm going to say that all of that will be squashed down underneath what was wonderful about their travel. At least that is my hope. So I'm going to support that. And I'm supporting, of course, what I think is the endeavor of the Nigerian Defense Ministry in bringing Harry over and inviting him. I thought that was wonderful. And I hope to see that for other countries, especially those that are supporting the wounded warriors. You know, I really do hope to see that. So I'm good. So let me quickly pivot back here to what Richard Eden put out a statement about the Princess of Wales, that is Princess Catherine. So, for some reason, he found it necessary to write that the Princess of Wales was described as the driving force behind a major report this week that called on the businesses to introduce more family friendly ways of working. Okay, so let's dissect a piece of this, and I won't be here long because all things currently Princess of Wales, that is Princess of Catherine, as far as I'm concerned, are part made up and part projected fantasy. And the reason I say that is she has been carefully and constructively removed from visibility, and thus we must kind of keep our, I guess, one ear to the ground as we are finding out how her health might be holding up or not holding up. So we're going to stay with that, right? We're going to stay in that place. And what I'm going to do, because Of course, I love to have these little things that are set in my stream. Let's about that as far as as if we are doing some sort of a fantasy run, right? It's kind of comical. But for whatever reason, he found it necessary to say this. Now, I don't know if you all are noticing, just like Catherine has been constructively reduced in public appearances, I don't know if you're aware, but I'm seeing it would appear that the entire royal firm is being diminished. For the King Charles, well, we were told that he's battling cancer, so of course less is best, and that we would expect. You know, only a casual visit to this thing here or a casual occurrence at this place, going to see some people working or whatever. Very casual. So we would expect his appearances to be limited. Prince William, on the other hand, we're not sure. He said that his appearances would be limited because he's caring for his wife, Catherine. However, he's out and about at what would appear to be some type of frivolity, it would appear. But as far as participating in things that are of import, not really. Also, if you notice, he's out to gather more accolades or more titles or more what I would call labels of duties that he does not perform, more ceremonial type of appointments, right? And then, just like this notification here by Richard Eden, who is trying to speak for the royal family, um, and always telling us what spokesmen are saying or what royal experts are saying. For example, he said, yet a spokesman has been keen, and I love how they throw in that word keen, to stress that Catherine's involvement should not be seen as an indication that she is returning to work. Well, of course not, right? No, we shouldn't see anything as an indication that she's returning to work. Why? Because she hasn't returned to work. Whatever work is, right? So we're still waiting for this wonderful explanation on how her health is going. And instead, what we're getting is puff pieces by outside reporters or courtiers or spokesmen about what she might be working on or what she's thinking about working on and how she's hoping this will affect the workplace. I mean, for real? What? Okay. Okay. Let me get off that page. I mean, okay, right? I don't even know what that meant, you know? I have no idea what that meant. But I would say that their goal is to just make sure that we drop an article here or there to let you know that Catherine still does exist. In the meantime, for those of you who are paying attention, now due to an election that's coming up in the UK, where they're about to elect many of their parliamentarians, now we're being told that the royal firm slash family will be doing a lot less due to the fact that there's an election coming up. And they're going to be doing a lot less because they don't want to muddy the water, cloud the issue, right? Okay. Again, no one in the UK has ever seen this happen before. No one, there's never been a statement made in the past that, oh, since there's an election coming up, here at the royal, all of the monarchs and the royal firm, we're going to just take a step back and chill. That we haven't seen anything like that. And of course, because I'm not a teenager, you can't just throw this stuff out there and act like it's normal, right? The queen existed all of my life. And there was never an announcement of this sort. Okay. But here we go again. All right. Just take that in, folks, and just believe that whatever that is. I don't know. But here we're gonna let's go back to the fun stuff. So for those of you who were paying attention to what was happening in Nigeria, and we're gonna learn more about this, is that they had a naming ceremony for wonderful Meghan. Meghan Markle was named in a ceremony by these wonderful kings that travel and kings of their various territories. They traveled to meet Prince Harry and Princess Meghan, and they did a little naming ceremony. And in one place, she was renamed Adamaze. And I thought that was so cute. I hope I'm saying it correctly. I need everyone from Nigeria to give me a call and send me some phonetics. Okay. So that was a wonderful thing that happened, and she was honored by that title. And it was an honor that these people traveled so far to come and meet her. So I hope you all get an opportunity to find out or learn a little bit about why it's so important. Yes, Africa, it is extremely important to be given a name. That is a wonderful thing. And the more honored the person giving you the name, the more honored the name. And so these gentlemen were considered kings. Of course, they are kings in Nigeria of African lines, which means they are ancient, which is wonderful. So I thought that was a great thing for them to be given. So just remember, folks, as I quickly go through the final slides here, just remember what they did. And again, I love that yellow dress. What I think they did is to be beautiful, just be authentic, and be loved. And that is what they exemplified on their trip to Nigeria. So I am hoping in what they have continued to do. So I am so glad to hear what they were doing. I am so glad at all of the wonderful things that they had going on. So let's give magical twinkle and let's give also a wonderful time of support for all the work that they have put in. So what I'm going to do as I wrap it up, all right, we're going to say, okay, everyone stay fit, stay strong, and I'm going to get back on to learning the new streaming method. I've got to keep working at it, people. But thank you guys for your patience, and thank you all for jumping over here, even after that debacle that I had earlier this morning. And I hope I didn't waste too much of your time. So thanks again, everybody, for being here. And thank you all for your wonderful comments, your likes, and your shares. And I hope that you get to have them come through again. Thank you. Henpal says amen. I appreciate that. We're definitely going to need an amen. Yes, ma'am. And she says, apparently those kings never leave. Yeah. You know what? For the naming ceremony, you're correct. I heard that they don't travel to see people. I think that's interesting, don't you? And yet, for Harry and Meghan, they packed up and they came out. And it is true that in earlier years, the Queen Elizabeth, actually traveled to see them. I thought that was fantastic. So thank you so much, Henpal. You are correct. That was a phenomenal thing for that to happen. So here's what I'm going to do again. I'm not preaching to you, okay? I'm not trying to convert you folks. I don't want you all to panic and think, oh my God, this is becoming a religious channel. No, I just like sometimes to quote scripture that I read because sometimes it just uplifts me and it supports what I think or feel. So remember, keep the faith, folks. Keep the faith and stay strong. Harry and Meghan are, and they're young. Of course, they have endurance. But our support must endure. And so, just like First Corinthians says, be on guard, stand firm in your faith, stand firm in the faith, okay? And be courageous. And that's definitely something to keep in mind. Sometimes we are fearful to show that we support what is right. And remember that happens all over the world. People sometimes are afraid to show that they support righteousness. But you know what? Be courageous. And what does James 1 and 12 say? Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial. For when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life. And that's what God has promised to those who love him. So I like to always roll that into how Harry and Meghan move. If they stay strong and stand fast, it's going to be in, oh my gosh, they're going to endure some crazy stuff. It's going to keep coming, folks. I don't want you to think that, Tuesday is going to be the last day that the UK media is haunting them. Oh no. They're going to dispatch their minions just like maggots on meat, okay? And those maggots on meat are going to crawl through Twitter spaces. They're going to crawl through YouTube. They're going to jump down in any social media platform that they think Meghan and Harry are having positive feedback. They're going to be there. But you know what? We have to stand strong, okay, under trial, because that is where our power will come from. And so we have to stay there. So, folks, once again, thank you guys for being here. Let's give yourself a round of applause. Yes, indeed. And you stay here and you definitely keep yourself strengthened, exercised up, vitamined up. Stay strong and be ready for the battle. And once again, I appreciate all of you. And I'll tell you more about my trip, hopefully, if I get the other streaming going the way it should go. And I'll try to drop a comment here or there. Thanks again for being here.